Yo, morning, welcome to the channel. This is day 2 of the bedroom makeover. That's what it is, bedroom makeover. Lost where I was, lost track on what job I was on. So yesterday, I'll put the link above if you saw the previous video. We managed to get most of the channels chased for the electric side. And Jack was getting on with wallpaper stripping. So to give you a rundown, if you haven't seen the previous video, this bedroom is going to be completely transformed. The clients have recently bought it. It is a bungalow. There was fitted wardrobes across here. We've stripped that out. The whole property is going to be rewired and replumbed as we're going per room. So we've got, initially on the first phase, we've got this room next door to do, but we're going to transform this one first so they've got somewhere nice, cosy and relaxing to hide in. So they haven't got to worry about it. So when we're doing the other rooms, they've got somewhere to hide. Nice and tranquil. You know what I'm saying? So, if you're new to the channel and haven't subscribed, make sure you do that before you do anything further. Then go and make a cup of tea, get yourself comfy, let's get into the video. So already Jack has pretty much killed himself with the aid of a steamer. As he looked down, it was glowing red. Glowing red? Glowing red. Don't know how he's done that. Good job we got a backup. So he's on to the second one. So that's number 2 of the old strippers. And that is wallpaper strippers. Alright. Just want to clarify that, don't we, Jack? Always. Wallpaper strippers. Okay. So we've got the rest of the chases in. So we're bringing everything to building regs for heights. So those of you who don't know what it is. So the building regs is part M of the building regs for the electrical height through sockets. So this is the previous height. So we've moved it up to 450 to the bottom. Also, when you've got disability accesses, mobility problems, things like that, it does make a massive difference in fairness. All new builds are the same, and to that light switch is 1200 to the top of that light switch. So we're going to go through the whole house and do it that way. So we've got a socket there, one there, that one there, and that's going to be all gone because the wardrobe is going to be fitted all the way across. So what I'm up to right now, I've already drained the heating system down, which is absolutely fandabidosa. We're now replacing the radiator because the radiator which was here was actually rusted out and started to leak. The carpets are all being replaced, so hold your beans, don't have to stress yourself about that, they're all going to be replaced. We are cleaning up pretty much as we're going along, but obviously within reason. So we've got our flow and return that come down, then it's teed off, if you can see in the corner, that goes through into that bedroom. We're going to come up with another plan for that when we're doing that bedroom because we need to keep the house nice and warm. So I've now just done the chase. So we have run the chase down all the way through for the flow and return to be going back in. So we've got a 1200 rad. So we've got our marks here for where our centres are for our pipes. We're going to leave them in situ. Now the previous skirting board, can we call it skirting board? Not quite sure. Was only architrave and it was that high. And now we're having 5-inch, which comes up to, I don't know, I'll put a mark on it somewhere. It's around here somewhere. So we're going to then bring the pipes up just above the skirting board, because Steve keeps going mad at me, because it seems to me the last few jobs, like the farm job, the skirting board was about 18, 19, 20 foot high. And we ended up having to bring the pipes through, because what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? It is what it is. So now we're going to get onto the bit of pipe mending and get that up and sunk into the wall. So while Jack's trying to burn his hands off with the steamer, to do the pipe bending you're going to need a set of benders and a guide, and obviously you're going to need some pipe. So my idea is that we're going to try and create that sort of swoop round into here. I'm going to bring it in, so this is going to be my lower one. It's going to come down and we're going to kick it out here. You are going to have to solder 90s on, because you're not going to get the bend. If you bent that to come round, it would stick out way too far on the wall. And then this one is going to come up to the top line, because believe it or not, there's two chases on here, and then it drops down into the single, and then we're going to solder the other end on. But we need to get that bend done first.
I used to have to make about 4 or 5 of them a day, so I'm not too worried.
Good. Jack's going to make tea at some point, so we'll have to grade his colour charts and all the rest of it. So I've just bent the pipe on that sort of angle there, because I want to try and keep it as, rather than having too many sharp angles, trying to keep it tight. So the premise behind it, so you get your length of pipe, you'll put it in your bender, so like that, one-handed. Put your guide across, your clamp, I suppose you call it. Then your former, stick that in, and then you'll bend it round to whatever you see fit. Now there is marks on here that will give you, so 90s back here, 45, things like that. So what you're trying to do is remember where you bent the last one. Obviously you need to add a little bit more on to go higher, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I tell you what, is a shout out for you. So if you want to see how a really in-depth view on pipe bending, that's PB Plumber. All right, go and see Pete. Pete did a video ages ago about pipe bending, and it was class. So we're coming to sort out the soldering aspect of that now. So one of the key things you need, I'll tell you what, let's go through some of the kit you're going to need actually. So you need some wire wool, because you've got to make sure your pipes are always clean and dry. Okay, so if you've got water content in there, it ain't going to solder. All right, you can get a tiny bit, but if it's got loads of water, it's dripping, ain't going to happen. That's where press fit comes in. So for those of you, if you own a press fit company and you would like to sponsor the channel, that'll be amazing. Thank you very much. But we're going to do it old school. We're going to do the old solder method. So you're going to need some flux. So we use, what's this called? The fluctuator. So we use that. You can just use normal flux, because the flux basically is like a, you word it, like an activator to allow the solder to travel round the joint. Okay, so that's the way I'm going to do it. Now, the plumbers who do come across this will be crying right now, screaming, what the hell are you on about? But this is what I know it as. This is me, all right? So you need that. You're going to need some solder, and this is lead-free solder. You don't have to use lead-free on the heating system, because it's not, you're not going to be drinking out of that unless you are some sort of absolute freak. I don't know how you do that, but either way. But generally most people will just buy lead-free anyway, because anything to do with water that you're potentially going to be drinking out of has to be lead-free, so everyone just buys lead-free anyway. You're going to need a pipe slice. Pipe slice for cutting the pipe. We're going to use, this is 15mm copper. They do various different sizes for that, but most domestics 1522. You could also use one of these if you're really getting adventurous. So this is the Milwaukee pipe slice I find that really good, but sometimes you just can't quite get it in to the tighter locations. You're also going to need some means to actually melt it all. So we're using, this is the Rothenberg Superfire 2. Like I say, it's not sponsored by any of these. It's just what I've been using. And it's propane gas. It's a gas. So other thing to do is you're going to need a heat mat. So mine is well used, because if you have got any areas where potentially like carpets, things like that, things are going to drop down, you want to make sure that you don't burn them. So a heat mat and an old skanky towel. And the reason for the old skanky towel is because once you've soldered it, you can clean it, all the old flux off that's obviously leaked out of it and all the rest of it. You clean it all off with that, and also it cools the pipes, lets you get on with the job without burning your precious buttery little man paws, you plumbers. So yeah, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to get soldering in this corner. But first of all, I always like to do everything dry. So what we've now done, I keep saying we, it's just me doing this. Jack's busy. Jack is busy over there, steaming within an inch of his life. So what I like to do is make sure that everything is all dry fit. So we don't put any flux on just yet. Just to make sure that everything fits nice where I want it, because your wardrobe line is roughly going to be sort of here anyway. So this will all get bonded in. This is all going to be on an end filler panel. So we're not going to be messing about too much with that stuff. And then we're going to come down, and then we're going to join on from here, which is this piece here is going to be coming on. We'll cut that to suit. Now, I've already cleaned that edge, so every edge needs to be cleaned, hence the wire wool, okay? So you need to make sure you clean everything. Because this is older pipe, especially, you need to make sure that's clean. With some of the brand new stuff, you'll probably be okay, but it's just good practice just to clean it, make sure it's all nice and spot on, so you shouldn't have any issues. So let's solder that together. What we're now going to do is we're going to take it all apart, strip it all out, and going to start fluxing everything up. So in here you can see I've got the flux all run round, so I don't need to put it onto this bit. It's always best to put it into the pipe. The pipe's already clean, so that is going to go into there. And this is a street elbow, this one, so you've got a female and a male end, so you need to make sure that you put flux on the male end. And then again, because the copper's already been cleaned, put that, why am I doing that like an absolute weirdo? There you go. Very freaky. I don't know why I did it like that, but hey ho. Okay, so that is all in. Put it, although I've got a mat there anyway, just put the heat mat down. So what I like to do as well is have a little bit of a loop around, and it will all make sense in a minute. Clear some rubbish out the way. So you don't want your flame too hot. So if you're soldering here, you're going to want to make sure that you're putting your actual solder at the back edge of that, because then you know the heat's transferred all the way through. So warm around the joint. See how that's flowed round? Then you move on to the next one. And especially on this one, where it's coming around the back. You see how it's flowed all the way around? So on there, leave that for a minute. This is one thing, a little really bad habit of mine is just to put it back down, because I know the heat mat's there, but one day you're going to get caught out. So try and stand it up and don't be an idiot. So here is the rag. Nearly burnt my finger off then. So clean that all down. So you don't want to leave any of the residue of the flux on there, because you know when you come to some pipes and they've got all green and stuff like that on them, it's because it's not been cleaned. Okay, so it's all cleaned down, and then one of the little final touches I like to do is just give it a little rub down with the wire wool, just to finish it off. And that's it. So now we just repeat the process here, down to this one, down to the end, and here. Job's a good one. And the plumbing is done. Absolutely done. That's me. Soldering, completed it. So for those plumbers who love to write the comments, please do. Let me know what I've done wrong. I'm sure you'll have lots of comments for it. Remember, Sparky, plumbing. You know, what can I say? What can I say? So I've done it now, and the other thing is, you may have noticed that we've also put some tape on all the pipes. Let's have a look. So you might be thinking, what the hell are you doing? Why have you put tape on all of the pipes all the way down? And the reason behind that is because when you are putting the bonding coat in, you don't really want any bonding and the copper coming into direct contact, because that will potentially cause a problem later on down the line. Do you know what I'm saying? So the next job for me is to refill the system and make sure there's no leaks. Now we've put 2 stop ends on, so these are the 15mm stop ends. You can use solder ends if you want, but there's no real point for this because we're just going to be pulling those off. Ooh, cheeky, suit you, sir. So we're going to be pulling those off to drain down, obviously, to fit our new beautiful radiator with the massive skirting board. And this way, Steve, hopefully, as well, shouldn't moan. Come to that time where we're now going to need to refill all the system and make sure there's no leaks. Fingers crossed. So first things first, we're going to need to make sure that we are now shutting all of the radiator valves that we have opened, like so. Then we're going to need to make sure that we take the drain down hose off. So for those of you who don't know what a drain down hose is, here we go, hold on to your boots. Oh, here she is. She is the drain down hose. So we need to close this valve. What I would say is keep the valve, well, the hose on, because you never know. And what I tend to find, that if I take it off too soon, usually it leaks. Whereas if I leave it on, generally, we don't have a problem. So the next bit is to locate the boiler, where that is. Now let me think, where is that? Where is that? Ooh, maybe the boiler cupboard. Should be a light in here somewhere. Light. Ooh, could this be it? I wonder. Yes. So you may notice we have got an error code on here. The error code is F75, which I'm guessing, of the wide knowledge of Valiant that we have, is it's got no water in it. Oh yeah, I'd say that probably means we've got no water. So you're going to need to look for a filling loop. So once we've located the filling loop, which is here, so this is my filling loop. So we've got a cold feed, which is this one. So my cold feed then essentially is going to go in and feed up the flow or the return, whichever way around. I can't remember which one it is, but don't sue me. So you're going to need to open one of these up, and here we go. So I wouldn't go mental with it, and what I mean by that is go full bore, because you want to take your time. So I've just done a quarter of a turn on there, let it all fill up, and hopefully the pressure gauge should go up. One of the things I have noticed before over time is that sometimes the pressure gauges are knackered, so a little love tap and they come to life. But let's get some more water in there first. So while that's filling up, it's always a good idea to go and make sure you keep an eye on everything. Make sure you haven't forgotten anything. So you can hear the water flowing through. You've got to make sure you've got no leaks. Should hopefully, in theory, be all good to go. So it is imperative, and I mean imperative, that you use the big boy word, that you don't overfill the system, because if you overpressurize it, that will cause a big problem. So you can see the pressure gauge now starting to come up. It did move, I promise. It did move. So you want really about 1.5 bar of pressure for your heating system, but it doesn't look like I've got actual numbers on here, so it's going to be around about that figure, that line there. Okay, the gauge is starting to come up now, so like I say, you can make sure that you don't go too crazy with it, and then we're going to need to take all the air out, and that'll ding dang do. So we're going to come to bleeding the air out of the radiators, and what you're going to need for that is a bit of blue roll or kitchen towel or whatever you want to call it, but blue roll it is for me. You're going to need a valve key. And you're also going to need a jack. So we have got a jack. The reason why he's dressed like he's going to burgle the place is because it's tipping it down outside, and in fairness, he's getting rid of all that. That's going outside. So Jack, what I need you to do, my friend, is keep your eye on the pressure gauge. So I want that to sort of stay around about 1.5 bar. And then as I'm opening up the radiators, if you can just keep topping it up slightly to keep it going. So you just need to open up slightly, and obviously just watch the gauge doesn't over pressurize. So Jack has got clear instructions, and I'm every faith in him that he's not going to fail. So now we're at the radiator in the bedroom. I'm going to try and do this without it leaking everywhere. So we've got a valve on the side. We're now going to open this valve, and you should hear air. Now I will have to put you down. I'm going to try and do it like this. The reason why is because I can't do it in two hands. And this is what your blue roll's for. So you're going to keep the air coming out, and then all of a sudden it will shoot water at me. The air coming out and the water's starting to come up the radiators. And then you're going to try not to get squirted on. Generally the first bit of water comes out. Open it again a little bit. And there you have it. One radiator, bled, all done and dusted. So now we need to go around to all the others in the house. So I'm going to go and do that. See you in a bit. So we've now filled all the heating system up. Got all the air out of everything. So we've cleared the fault. And the way to clear the fault on here, you have a reset button. It sounds stupid, but all of them are slightly different. So we hit the reset button. And also one of the things I need to make sure now is that you keep you get all the radiators all nice and warm. Yesterday there was a pressure drop and the radiators wouldn't come on. So obviously once your boiler registers that there's a pressure drop, it will cut it out as a safety feature. And last night the client ended up getting cold. So this morning we're going to make sure that everything is all nice and toasty for them. It was on timed as well, so we're going to turn that back into on, and then once we've done, we'll really put it back into the timer position. So we've now fired the boiler up. We're going to go round the whole house, making sure everything is lovely and toasty for the customer. And then we can take that drain down hose. Now, the reason why I leave that drain down hose in, if there was, for some reason, a leak, I've also had an older radiator, once you have drained them down, for some reason have decided to, just do a mental case, right? And have leaked. So I always leave that on. It's a little bit of a practice for you. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, come on, that's got to be worth to subscribe. If it's helped you in one iota to even feel a little bit more confident in plumbing, even if you're thinking about being a plumber, I mean, why would you? But if this video has helped you at all, please make sure you subscribe. Hope you've enjoyed it. Leave your comments below as usual, and we shall see you on the next one.